Namaste. Good evening, everyone. So today is Mesha Shankranti, the solar calendar New Year for many states. Sometime back there was Ugadi. So it's an astrologically, spiritually significant New Year. If you remember, we had discussed about following an astrologically relevant time schedule and a time cycle instead of the Gregorian calendar, which is arbitrary and totally from the human mind. So this new year starting today is in synchronization with the cosmic rhythms, and it could be considered as a new year. And it's a very auspicious day. So I'm very glad that we could have our Nishta class today. It's a grace. So I wish you all the best, and my prayers to the masters, to the gurus, to the acharyas, and the parampara. May all the grace be with us, and may Ishvara bless us with Viveka Vairagya and Nishta in Dharma and Jnana. So with this, we begin the class. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavedyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. So before we go into the topic of today, I will answer a couple of questions that was posed to me based on the discussion we had in the last class, and also a generic question. So one question is about Vasana and Samskara. What is the difference between Vasana and Samskara? Both are coming from the past, memories, etc. What is the difference? If you look at the way in which Vasana and Samskara function from the chitta, that is the mind, from the unconscious mind and memory, the way both function and the way both drivers and the way it manifests, it is the same. So both can be used synonymously in most contexts. However, if you analyze the word and we also see the way in which these two terms are handled in the tradition, in general, in the teaching methodology and in the discussions in satsangas, the trend, the way in which these two words are handled. So based on that, I can probably point out a certain difference in the sense samskara is usually used in relation with things that are cultivated consciously through effort. And samskara is usually connected with purushartha, and it is connected with one's aptitude for a pursuit. You can say that. Samskara is usually connected with an aptitude of the person towards a pursuit, and it is usually used in the context where a person is ready or qualified to pursue something. It is also used in the sense of purification and getting something ready. So, multiple meanings. So when we use samskara in the sense of the inner tendency or a predilection or an inner aptitude for certain thing, then we use samskara in the context of a pursuit. When we want to learn music, for example, or when we have a liking for classical music over some punk rock, we say the person has a samskara for classical music, for music. Similarly, for art, for any vidya, we say when a person is learning, the person needs to have samskara. Otherwise, it will not come, they will say. Right? So, it is more used in this kind of way. And we can also develop. So, samskara is something we can develop. And it is used in a positive context. On the other hand, vasana is used more in the context where we are denoting a habit pattern, a drive. When samskara is used in relation with in the context where it is about one's pursuit and conscious pursuit and purushartha, and it has something to point to self-effort and the readiness for something, vasana is used more in the context of pointing out to a person's helplessness, habit pattern. Whenever habit overwhelms our judgment, our actions, our thinking, then we say vasana. It's a what to do, it's all purva vasana. Sometimes we also use vasana in the place of samskara in the sense, but in the when a person is, it is vasana is more prakrita, it is more to point out to a natural tendency. Vasana is, it's all because of the past life vasana. This child is so involved in doing puja. We say, some child is very involved in doing puja and, very interested in spiritual things. We say in such a young age, it's all, purva janma vasana. But when the same child is, excelling, when he's going to a gurukulam and learning and from the teacher, the child is able to learn. We say child has samskara for this. So both those synonymous in the usage. Vasana is usually used in the in the sense of a habit pattern. We say sometimes in negative things, like for example, it's all because of these vasanas, because of all these vasanas, durvasana. They say there is also a text called Durvasana Pratikara Dashakam. How to remove durvasanas. Durvasana means negative thought and habit patterns embedded in us. So vasana is used more in the sense of habit patterns that push us into samsara, into action. Karma vasana, we say karma vasana, and bhoga vasana, like that. But samskara, we say sat samskara, vidya samskara, like that we say. So it's only in the matter of usage. While samskara is used in more positive context, vasana is usually used in more negative context. So that's about it. And if you analyze the word, vasana is points to the force of habit embedded in us and asserting itself and pushing our thinking in a certain direction. Samskara refers to something that we have worked with, and we have put some effort, and something that we have earned. So samskara is used for referring to things we have earned in a more positive sense. Vasana is used in the sense of things where you have got more habituated to. So the tone is different. The attitude with which we use the words is different. So that's about it. And the another question the person asked was about abhyasa and anushtana. Okay. So if you see in Yoga Sutra, abhyasa vairagya abhyam tannirodha. What is abhyasa? To make that steady, the discrimination and all that, and the concentration steady. To make the effort that is put to make the yoga sthiti steady is abhyasa. Right? Now, abhyasa includes a lot of things. And abhyasa points to the aspect of effort, self-effort. So the entire spectrum of self-effort, spiritual self-effort, for the sake of one's moksha purushartha, wherever we are exercising self-effort, wherever we are We are doing a repetition of practice wherever we are reinforcing a certain tendency, a positive tendency, cultivating a spiritual power. All that comes under abhyasa, repetition. For example, when you are learning Veda Adhyayanam, they say you have to do abhyasa of the mantras. Abhyasa means you keep on repeating, right? So by practice, by repetition, all this comes under abhyasa. So abhyasa is more focused on effort. Anushtana, the word points to performance of a ritual or a rite or an action in either as like a japa, puja, etc. All those things in keeping with a directive, an instruction. Anu, the word anu means in keeping with, in accordance with a procedure. There is a given procedure, so we follow that procedure and do. It's anushtana. And also means every day, regularly. So regularity, consistency, and in keeping with the shastra. So that is what anushtana is, and anushtana is part of abhyasa. Abhyasa is a broad spectrum, and one of the things in abhyasa is anushtana. That's how we can. So with that, I will go to mm, the discussion of today. There is this when we are talking about self-realization, the approach to self-realization, we have talked about everywhere we say the self-realization or moksha is praptasya prapti, attaining what is already attained. There are a lot of examples. They say it's like you are having the spectacles on your head. You forgot you are looking for the spectacles everywhere. Or, you are wearing the spectacles and still you are searching for the spectacles. And then somebody tells, hey, you are wearing it. Then you realize, oh. So, attaining what is already attained in the sense you have not lost it, but you feel that it is not there, and then you are searching for it because of ignorance. So the solution for that is not really attaining, but waking up to the fact that you already have it, right? So this is called praptasya prapti, attaining what is already attained. And the very famous example is the 10th man example. The 10 people crossed the river. One person started counting to see if everybody had arrived. It's very famous, the 10 people crossing the river example. He counts the 9 people and then forgets to count himself. Then says, oh, the 10th man is lost. Then the other guy says, okay, maybe you did not count properly. Now let me count. And then he starts counting the 10. And then he counts 9 people, forgets to count himself and say, oh my God, there are only 9. The 10th person is lost. And then somebody who goes by, says, what is happening? Why are you all very disturbed? And then he says, no, all of them say the 10th person is lost. And he says, okay, let me count. And then he counts, and then he points to the 10th person who was the one who was counting, no? And makes him point the finger to himself and say, oh, 10. And then he says, I am the 10th man. He realizes. While he realizes I am the 10th man, all the other 9 people also realize that they are the 10th man. In a sense, the 10th man is not lost. So the ignorance about the 10th man being lost is gone. This is a famous example, right? So these are so many ways the Shastra tries to tell us about what is this self-realization, what is this moksha. It is not like any other attainment. It is fundamentally of a different nature. So in that, there is a way of explaining, a way of negating the uh, possibility of attaining the self by effort, especially when it comes to the self or the liberation, both are same, is not the result of action and attained in time. Okay? It is not a time-bound achievement that is the result of action. Karma will not lead to moksha. This is the fundamental point. The whole uh, inquiry into the nature of the self and the liberation and the teaching, the entire teaching begins with dismissal of karma as the means for liberation. Karma means action, puja, japa, Vedic rituals, mantra chanting, Kundalini yoga. You think of any kind of effort, practice of samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi, any kind of alteration of the body, the prana, the mind, the thinking, and rearranging of the things around, anything that is attained in time like heaven, etc., none of these can be moksha. None of these can take you to moksha. So it starts like that. In that, there are four kinds of limited attainments that are discussed. So all kinds of time-bound achievements can be classified into four categories. Utpadya, Apya, Samskarya, Vikarya. There are four. Okay. One is creative, creating it. So are we creating a new kind of altered consciousness? Or a new, are we manufacturing a new kind of divine self? Utpadya is like how you make a pot. There is a clay and then you make a pot from the clay, or you make a nice statue from the clay. That is utpadi. It is not there before, it is potentially there as a possibility, and then you do something with the raw materials and then it comes up. You make a painting, beautiful painting. All this is utpadya, created, brought forth. Okay. Apya, I am here, I need to come to Bangalore, I have to reach, I have to take the right means of transport and arrive at Bangalore, reaching in time. Indraloka, Vaikunta, I will go to Vaikunta and reach Lord Vishnu and not keep doing bhajan forever. Keep serving the Lord in the Vaikunta, all that. So I go from here, I do a lot of devotional stuff, and then I go to Vaikunta and be with Lord Vishnu. Or go to Kailasha, be with Lord Shiva, whatever. So you have different heavens for different ideas of the divine. And then you have Brahmaloka, Indraloka, Siddhaloka, Shambhala, all those things. The realm of the ascended masters. If you're too much into theosophy, then it is all about ascended masters. You become an ascended master, right? And then, the Bodhichitta, all that, attaining it. I arrive at somewhere. Now that is also dismissed. That cannot be moksha. Why it cannot be moksha and all that. There is a huge discussion. The another type of attainment is samskarya, purification. I purify the body, I purify the nadis, I purify the pancha pranas, I remove the pancha bhuta impurities from my nadis and brain and from my sukshma sarira, and then I purify the mind and I take the the yogic light from the nabhi by clearing the seven, by the seven screens, and then I attain the supreme jyoti in the eyebrow center, and from there I awaken the supreme consciousness, and then I bring down the amrita, the divine nectar, and I infuse the body with the divine nectar, and the body becomes a pure body, shuddha deha, and then it goes to the next level called divya deha, the divine body. Then it becomes the vibrating body of vibration and divine sound, pranava deha. Then it becomes the body of pure awareness, jnana deha. This is one theory. This is the concept of, and then you attain what is called swarupa samadhi. There is one group of yoga people who are promoting this, right? The thing, and it was popularized also by one saint called Ramalinga Vallala. It's they all talk that, but I have not seen one person, even the top guru, being of any level of that. So none of them, none of the people who are in the Pranavadeha or Divyadeha or in Jnanadeha, like this Babaji of Himalayas, they could all, they are so immortal, and they have this perfect whatever transformed the eternal body. Why can't they come and give an interview in the TV so that everybody can see them? I appear in a studio and give an interview, and everybody's faith will be renewed. This is all just blah blah, but let us assume it is true. Okay, so I am going to assume that this is all true, and it is possible to have the Siddha masters, Ascended masters. They live in divine bodies. This is all there. We have heard about this from a lot of saints and sages. So it is definitely a possibility. Uh, we don't know whether it is in the exact terms in which they market it, but some kind of a altered body, a higher level of existence where the body is not affected by the elements, there is no aging, and then there is some kind of a special level of consciousness, ability to tap into any realm of consciousness in the universe. All these yoga siddhis, they say, what is called as the siddhas. So let us accept that as a possibility, because the Shastra talks about it. There are a lot of masters who have talked about it. In India, we have always have the folklore that has preserved stories about masters like this. And such stories are there in every culture, not only in India. It is there in Celtic stories, the Druidic stories, folklore, and in the Wiccan folklore. It's there in the Native American folklore, in the Afro folklore, shamanic folklore. We have these kind of stories everywhere. So let us assume it is true, right? But the question is that moksha? That is the question. Is that self-realization? Is that a permanent solution, moksha? So this is called samskarya, purification. All you are changing it. You are purifying it and removing all the limitations and the impurities and making it pure. Samskarya. Then you say that all the karma is for chitta shuddhi. So without chitta shuddhi, you cannot have self-knowledge. So how come you are saying that samskarya, by purification, one does not attain the self? Even the Yoga Sutra also, there is a sutra that says Sattva Purushayoho Suddhi Sattva Purushayoho Shuddhi Samye Kaivalyam. When the purity of the Sattva and the Purusha is equal, when the mind is as pure as the Purusha, comparable to the purity of the Purusha, it's like a pure crystal, Shuddha Sattva, no? Then one attains Kaivalya. It's there in Yoga Sutra. So what are you saying? But that alone does not mean moksha. It will not remove the ignorance about the self. That is the whole problem, whole point. One might have an altered state of consciousness, one might experience samadhi. Still, the ignorance about the self that is there in the buddhi is not cleared. When the buddhi becomes active again, the ignorance will come back again. You have a famous story. A person goes into samadhi and wakes up after uh, 1 decade or 2 decades, and then the disciples are still, they're all gotten old and they're all waiting there to see when the master will wake up. And then he wakes up. Before going to samadhi, that master had asked for water, and then he wakes up from samadhi and says, "Hey, where is my water?" you know so the samadhi did not even, you know how the mind went inside, the same way the mind came out. So this is a very famous example telling that samadhi will not do anything with respect to removing the original Moola Avidya and give you moksha. It will not free you from the whole gamut of this limited existence that is the result of ignorance. It will not be, samsara will not be over. That is the point. So samskarya, by all this purification of our bodies and all that, and the cleansing your chakras and all that, it is all good, but that is not connected. That is not going to give you liberation. That is not going to remove the ignorance. These are all at best can be used as accessories that enables you to do the enquiry according to the teachings of Vedanta. And then Vikarya, changing. I become Vikarya, there are means changing, transforming. Like I told you, you can also say Vikarya, changing the body into a very, very extreme Hatha Yoga. The body can be a Vajra Deha. A body can become an immutable kind of a body, very special body. Right? You can walk on water, etc. So you change that. Vikarya also means changing of lifestyle. Today I am wearing pant shirt. Tomorrow I go to Rishikesh, then I become spiritual. So I start wearing dhoti and kurta. And then I wear a special color dhoti. And I stop wearing kurta. I will wear only cloth that is not stitched. Kashayam parabhakrita veshaha. It comes in, Bhajagovindam. Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam Bhajamudamate. Samprapte sannihite kale nahi nahi rakshati dukrin karane. That famous text. I am thinking of doing that text in the coming classes. In Bhajagovindam, you say, Jatilo mundi lunchita keshaha, kashayambara bhakrita veshaha. Means, the one guy is gone with a tonsured head, no hair, he removed all the hair. Another guy is wearing meters long of jata, is like these long matted locks of hair. One is walking like that. Another person has renounced the normal clothes and he is wearing ochre robes, sannyasi clothes. All this is nothing but udara nimittam bahukrita veshaha. All this is nothing but various decorations that are external, various external decorations just for the sake of filling the belly. That's what Shankaracharya says in Bhajagovindam. So it might serve some, practical purpose. You might wear a dhoti and kurta and wear a shika and all that, and then you go to Shikesh, you will get bhiksha. They will all call you Maharaj, Maharaj. So when you go to an ashram, it is easy to get some free food. Good, no problem. And of course, because you are wearing a certain dress, it might give you a certain, they say, wear your attitude. So it might be helpful to cultivate a certain sattvic attitude. It might prevent you from, expressing yourself in aggressive ways because, it might remind you of a certain kind of commitment that you have given for yourself. All that is wonderful. But that alone does not ensure moksha. That alone does not give you any knowledge, that not remove ignorance. That is not the means for self-knowledge. That is what it is. Right? It is an external modification of your lifestyle is not going to do anything. Becoming sattvic food, for example, sattvic food, vegetarian food, will it give me knowledge? No. While vegetarian food and sattvic food is conducive for developing a sattvic mind that is useful for knowledge, just by becoming vegetarian or the sattvic food alone, one cannot become free from ignorance. No? So here they are basically dismissing all the other things that are not directly relevant for this. Nothing happens to you in your original nature. Your true nature is not altered by the various changes, the various processes and various actions and results that are done by the body, by the mind, and the various activities in the society, the lifestyle, etc., the rituals and various spiritual initiations and all that and whatnot. None of these make even an iota of difference to what you actually are. That is the central point. There is a beautiful shloka in a text, one of my favorite texts. It is called Avaduta Gita. There is a beautiful shloka. Shadanga yogan napunaiv shuddham. By the 6 limbs of yoga. 6 limbs means yama niyama is understood. So asana pranayama pratyahara dharana dhyana samadhi. Shadanga yogan natunaiva shuddham. You are not pure because of the practice of 6 limbs of yoga. Shadanga yogan natunaiva shuddham. Mano vinashan natunaiva shuddham. You are not pure because of the destruction of the mind in samadhi, etc. Guru Padeshan natunaiva shuddham. It is not because of the uh, teachings of the Guru. It is not because of the Upadesha, the discourse and the initiation by the Guru that you have become pure. No. Guru Padesha buddham. Swayam chatatvam swayameva buddham. You by yourself are the absolute principle, the reality. You by yourself are the pure knowledge of the nature of pure knowledge. You are that already. That's what you are always. So you don't do something to arrive at that. It is something that you already are. Again and again and again, in so many ways, in so many contexts, in so many texts, the tradition, the wisdom tradition brings us back to this simple truth about ourselves. So nothing is needed for realizing the infinite nature of yourself. You are already that. This is something that we need to keep in mind. While we keep this in mind, while we keep this in mind, how this, keeping this in mind, how this can help us. This basic remembrance, the remembering this basic truth about ourselves with Shraddha, because the Shastra says it, even though I may not be, I may not be living this truth of myself, I may not have realized, I may not be free from ignorance yet. Still, I can take this as a guiding principle for my sadhana. If I take this truth of I am not attainable by effort, my truth is not the result of any effort, my truth is not attained in time, I don't need to change anything about myself in order to realize my true nature, then I am very objectively oriented in my sadhana. In what sadhana we are doing, what is meant for what. Everything falls in its rightful place. When I remember this truth that is being hammered again and again in the Shastra, in the tradition, then I can be very realistic about what I do. Sattvic diet, I understand that Sattvic diet is for the body and for the mind. Yama Niyama, I understand it is for reorienting the aggression in the ego and developing a Sattvic attitude, an attitude towards life that is more based on surrender and that makes life less complicated and allows me to extricate myself from unnecessary compulsions and saves my mind from indulging in adharma and simplifies my life and makes myself more available, makes my mind and intellect more available to the truth, right? And simplifies the karmic patterns that bind me. So I understand it is again Yamanema, the lifestyle is like a fence for the sake, a behavioral fence that creates the right context for me to work with the body, with the mind in deeper level. Then the practice of asana, I understand it is for reducing the reactive temperaments of the vital force. And then the pranayama, it is for the slowing down of the urges and the rush that we have. And addiction to the principle of life, the fear of death and all those things can be dealt with a good practice of pranayama and for silencing the force of the unconscious and facilitating a certain relaxation of the sense faculties and withdrawal of the sense faculties and making them more available for oneself so that the mind is not dragged around towards all kinds of things, and the mind is more available for inquiry, is settled, right? And then dharana, dhyana, samadhi, and all that, and then we have the practice of japa. So the same Bhajagovindam, which talks about, which is written by the Shankaracharya, who says that you are already that, no karma is going to uh, give you moksha. The same Acharya has also talked about what is the right place for karma, what is the right place for upasana. In the same Bhajagovindam, he has said pranayamam, pratyaharam, nitya nitya viveka vitaram. Japya sametya samadhi vidanam kurvapadanam mahadavadanam. He has said that about pranayama, pratyahara, japa, samadhi. The importance of all that has never been underrated, understated. The importance of all the sadhanas are there, but to be understood in their rightful context. What we call as sadhana sadhya sambandha. The effort and the corresponding result. What is the connection between a given means or the effort or a spiritual effort that I am putting or a practice that I am doing, and what is it supposed to give me? What is the result that is expected, and for who is the result? Like Sri Ramana Maharshi tells us, no, for who is this? For who is that question? Because what happens is, usually in all our endeavors, the motivation is from the reward and punishment center. Is connected demotivation or motivation, motivation to do something or demotivation from doing something, excitatory or inhibitory, they say in neuroscience. It is always driven by the reward center in our brain, reward and punishment. The first thing that adhyatmika sadhana, the spiritual way of life that is geared towards liberation, the first step is to switch off this reward center. This reward and punishment will not be my motivation. So, reinforcing a better sense of self. Listen carefully. Reinforcing the habit of trying to feel better about oneself, trying to have a better self-image, trying to have a better sense of self than what I have currently, through various achievements, both external or internal. That is what is basically the sense of reward. I am successful. I am beautiful. I am handsome. I am intelligent. I am a scholar. I am talented, etc. Right? It is especially very strong in women. It's, even for goddess, we say stotra priyastu timati. The goddess likes to be praised. Like we have every deity is pleased by something. Lord Ganesha is pleased by Naivedya, offering of food. Lord Shiva is pleased by Abhisheka. Lord Vishnu is pleased by decoration. Any Vishnu statue, you have make nice decoration. Alankar Priya. So, and Lord Surya is the Namaskara Priya. So we have Surya Namaskara. And we have goddess Stotra Priya. Stotra Priye. Goddess is pleased by praising her. So that's why all women are goddess. So women need to be appreciated constantly, recognized, appreciated, and praised. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh, you did a great job. Blah blah blah. They feel very good. It's a very, that is the inherent prakriti in them. Probably it is useful for them to perform their role as a woman in society, in family. That's good. But as a mumukshu, you are not a woman. You are not a man. So we have to, as a mumukshu, As a person desiring liberation, we have to understand that me feeling as a female is only a functional role. I am not a female. I am not a male, or in between all these 100 genders that these leftist people should not get offended. So I will include them also. All these various possibilities in the huge spectrum of gender fluidity, whatever it is, God knows. So all that I am not. So it is important to not be stuck with this habit of wanting to experience or wanting to feel a better oneself as a better version of oneself that is created by, defined by various external achievements or alterations of the body and alterations of the information matrix in our head. I know more. I have a thirst for knowledge. So there are certain virtue driven achievements that make you feel good about yourself. Then there are these virtueless pursuits. There are virtue driven pursuits and there are negative virtue driven pursuits. I am the biggest rowdy in the area. Everybody is afraid of me. Asura Sampatti, it's called. Demonic virtues, the demonic qualities. People want to feel good about themselves by cultivation of demonic qualities and being the best in that. No, I am the best pickpocket in town. There are people who have a pride in that. They want to become the best gangster in town. There are always competition and war between gangsters. Who is the worst? Or who is the biggest drug dealer? These are all asuri sampat. So daivi sampat would be how much books I have studied, how many degrees I have got, how much of shakas of Veda I have done Adhyanam, how many Surya Namaskars I did today, how many asanas I can do well, how many avarti of japa, how many prascharanas I have done, how many yajnas I have done. All these are virtue driven achievements. And then about looking good, about having six pack, and or about experiencing altered states of consciousness. Oh, I can hear all the 10 nadas from the anahata. My pranayama, I can levitate on the air, this kind of achievement. So we are constantly pushed from this center of reward and punishment. So what yoga does is, in the journey of nivritti dharma, in our commitment towards freedom from the various limitations and embodiments that make us feel small, limited, and bound, samsara. In the journey towards, in this effort for freedom from samsara, the first thing the Shastra tells you is to rise above this habit of reward and punishment. Feeling better about yourself based on reward, gaining of reward and avoiding of punishment. Self-definition coming through reward. First, to renounce that. Phalam tyaktva dharanjaya. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma paleshu kadachana. Don't be attached to the result. At the same time, don't be attached to inaction. Do what needs to be done, but with a sattvic attitude. So in Bhagavad Gita, when the sattvic attitude towards action is given in the teaching of Karma Yoga, says detachment towards the nishkamya karma. Action motivated by the sense of what is right, what is to be done is the motivation for action, and what is to be done is learnt from the Shastra and from the tradition and from proper inquiry into the nature of dharma. So it is motivated by dharmic consciousness. What is righteous action, what is rightful action. Not for personal reward, but simply because this action needs to be done. Action is done as a yajna, as a sacrifice. As a sacrifice is not yajna means action is done as an offering to the divine. As a manifestation of the love of the divine. love of the universe, you can say. So my guru will kill me for using this word universe, but still, that is what all these new age people understand. So in order to expand our heart and embrace the universal cosmic life, so we can say yajna. So action done in the spirit of yajna, which means not driven by reward and punishment. Action done in the spirit of Ishvara Pranidhana, which means not driven by reward and not driven by the desire for reward or fear of punishment. So the first thing, nivritti dharma, or the training towards preparing ourselves for liberation, the first thing that is hit, it is attacked, and the first liberation is from the liberation from the need for reward. My sense of self does not come from the rewards that I get. My sense of self does not get better or worse by the result of my action. That is the very first step. And that is where we are practicing what is called as Ishwararpita Buddhi, Prasada Buddhi, and all that comes in this context where it comes. Then what happens over a period of time, like we see in that sadhana panchakam, says kamye matistajyatam. After that, what happens? Papa augha paridhuyatam. We are able to become free from all the impact of our past karmas and the papas. Here punya also should be considered as papa, in the sense all the karmic limitations that push our thinking, that cloud our thinking, we become free from that, and we are able to see the inherent limitations of terrestrial life. Gavasukhe doshaha anusandiyatam. What we usually thought to be great and very nice and very good for us, we suddenly see the inherent problems in that. A person who is very busy doom scrolling all the time, if you take the phone away from them, like, there are kids who become mentally ill, they are so addicted to gaming. To remove the phone, they become hysteric, and there are instances where the kid has killed the parent or something. I read a news. So this mobile phone addiction, this doom scrolling, game addiction is so much. So when the person is deprived of the gadget, they experience tremendous shoka. So the immediate conclusion is the gaming and the doom scrolling or whatever, the social media and everything is good because it is making them feel good, at least temporarily. But then somehow manage to remove the gadget and take the person for a nice nature vacation, wait for 3 months, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, no gadget for that kid, 5 months, 6 months. Then after a good digital detox, you come back and then you take that gadget. You will exactly see how much stress it is creating in your system. The same thing with sattvic food, you might like onion pakoda and everything, but you remain without onion, garlic, tamarind, mustard and excessive chili and all those things, asafoetida, all these tamasic, rajasic vastus, you remain without all that and have a patya satvika diet for 3 months. Forget 3 months, you have it for 21 days or 48 days, one mandala, 48 days if you have. And after that, you come back and have that indulgent rajasic, tamasic food that you used to like a lot before. Try to have that. You will see how unpleasant it feels. The one that you are enjoying so much will feel so unpleasant. So that first instinct you will have to respect. Like smoking. After you have detoxed your lungs, you cannot come back to smoking. You will not feel good about it. No, the system will rebel. How it was before. In the beginning, before smoking, the system was rejecting it. But somehow I pushed myself and I conditioned myself and I made the system to accept the smoke. And then I numbed the sensitivity of the system, and then the system is able to enjoy this. So what seems to be good might be a mistake. It's not actually good. After we purify our system, what is truly good and what is lasting good will be seen, and what looks like good but which is actually not good, it will be seen for what it is. Things will be seen for what they are. Things will be seen for what they truly contribute to our life, to our destiny, to our health, etc. Bhava Sukhe. Sukhe means a pleasure, an enjoyment, a worldly enjoyment. Here, worldly enjoyment in Shastra also includes going to Vaikuntha, attaining heaven. So I'm not going that far. I'm just simply seeing what you thought was nice. You will start seeing the defect in that. That doesn't mean life will become depressing. It means that you will be truly available for what is really beneficial to you, and you will be able to see the inherent defects in things that appear as beneficial but are not actually beneficial. You can say that. So when our mind is free from the reward center, when our ego is freed, our individuality is not defined by reward anymore, and our actions are motivated by dharma instead of reward, desire or fear stops being the motivation for action. Rather, dharma, what is right and what is wrong, and what is righteous and what is not so righteous, and what is helpful for moksha, what is not helpful for moksha, what is pleasing to the Lord and what is not pleasing to the Lord. When that becomes the motivation for our action, then the intellect becomes free, more and more sattvic, becomes free from the grip of karma and klesha, the inner affliction, and a kind of a higher clarity dawns upon us, upon our intellect, not upon us. The higher clarity dawns upon our intellect, our minds. That makes us see the inherent limitations in things, makes us see things for what they are. Then one is able to awaken Atma Anatma Viveka. One is able to exercise this faculty of Atma Anatma Viveka. Atma Satyam Tadanyat Sarvam Nitya. Nityavastu Ekam Atma Tadanyat Sarvam Anitya Eva. The eternal one, eternal infinite principle is the true self, my true self. Other than my true self, everything else is temporary, transient, illusory, right? Now, this is the Viveka. It's basically functionally, when you operate Viveka, how it comes is you see Anitya as Anitya. You see the body as body, not as the self. You see thoughts as thoughts, not as the self. You see pleasant and unpleasant experiences as pleasant and unpleasant experiences for the body and mind, and not as I am happy, I am sad. Right? You see emotions as emotions. You see knowledge as knowledge and ignorance as ignorance. You don't see yourself as knowledgeable, yourself as ignorant. You understand knowledge as a quality of the mind. You don't create a self definition. This habit of, you are able to declutter your intellect from this habit of constantly creating wrong self definitions that is based on situations, relationships, state of the body, state of the mind, state of the intellect, and state of various emotions and experiences, pleasant, unpleasant, etc. The self definition does not come from any of this anymore. You are very, very watchful about that. So that's how Viveka operates in real time. Non identifying from the various structures and the clusters in the field of experience, if I want to put it in an abstract way. Yeah. So, Bhavasukhe Doshon Sandhitam, then you seek to know the Atmecha Vyavasiyatam. Then you make all the effort to know the true self through the teachings. You become available for inquiry into the true nature of it. Right? So, the first liberation, so the entire process of Nivritti Dharma begins with first accepting the truth that I am the destination. I am not the problem, I am the solution. But I am not what I think I am. Now let me see how I imagine myself to be in all kinds of things, then slowly liberate my sense of self from all the wrong habits and the labels that I have put upon myself. Let me look at the labels for what they are, just labels. A label is not me, right? So when I have this clarity, this fundamental clarity about the approach towards self-realization, then every practice is clearly, I am able to map every practice to its result in the karma, the result in the my karmic structure, the result in the social life. Every practice is I map the practice to its result in the body, its result in the quality of the mind, its result in the quality of the nadis in the prana, its result in the quality of the intellect. I am able to see that this practice is being done for this purpose, but this is not going to give me myself. I see karma phala as karma phala and as temporary and as belonging to one of these things of body, mind, etc. And I don't come from that attitude of I am going to become better. No? So what happens is, if I have this fundamental clarity, I can become completely available to the process and be totally detached about the result, because the result makes no difference to me. I am that I am, right? So this gives me a certain attitude during sadhana where I am always focused on improving the quality of this moment. I am not trying to arrive somewhere. I am not trying to arrive somewhere, but I am trying to transform the way I am now. So that is the fundamental uh, change in the approach to sadhana that we require, which is absolutely crucial for Nishta. Right? So with this, I will finish the class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Any questions? A quick question, one question if it is there, I can address. Otherwise, you can post the question later and I will take it over in the next class. I will wait for 1 minute. Okay. Could you tell me the meaning of Nishta? Nishta means being established in something, being established in the sadhana, being established in knowledge. That is Nishta. How established I am. Japo Nishta, Tapo Nishta, Jnana Nishta, Karma Nishta. The one who is well established in something is Nishta. Yeah. Do we have anything to know rebirth and related topics for this life? Yes, there are a lot of literature about rebirth and all that. Maybe we can discuss in the next class. Yeah, rebirth and related topics. Okay, we will discuss that in the next class. But one thing I can tell you is how you sleep and wake up. How you sleep and wake up, like that you die and you are reborn. Thiruvalluvar says that. உறங்குவது போலாகும் சாக்காடு மீண்டும் விழிப்பது போலாகும். Just like you sleep and you wake up, one fine morning you sleep to this body and you wake up in another body. It's about it. Albeit not with the same knowledge. Can you repeat again the right approach to do the practices? Yeah. Two things here. I am the right approach to do the practice is not to arrive somewhere, but to change the way I am in this moment, the way I am oriented towards the practice in this moment, the way I, by way of being, the quality of this, my way of being, the quality of my being in this moment. No, I am focused on that. For example, uh, if I am doing japa, I am not focused. My motivation doesn't come from I am going to get something at the end of all this. No, my motivation comes from how I am going to follow the methodology of the chanting right now. So that is possible only when my mind is free from the desire for the reward. And instead of that, I am doing an action because it needs to be done. It's not about pleasing God. When you say pleasing God, then it becomes some kind of religious slavery. So in our Hindu tradition, in Vedanta, we don't talk about pleasing God. Pleasing God can be used in the sense of a deity. You know, in the context of a ritualistic worship, we say we make the deity pleased. Because we invoke the deity, we have to please the deity in order to obtain the grace of that invoked deity. It's a little different concept. It is not the same as pleasing God as dealt with in the monotheistic religion. No, it's very different here. Like, Ishvara Priti, Devata Priti, we say, that is the word. So it is not pleasing God, it is pleasing the divinity during the context of worship. Uh, right approach to do the practices, we use the term Parameshwara Prityartham, in the sense, in order, as an expression of my love of God, we can put it like that. So the right approach to the practices and to the everyday duties that we discharge, the duties that we do, the right approach is an approach to the action. I am doing this as an expression of my love of God. If you don't like the word God, you can say, I am doing this as my love for the totality, as an expression of my love for the universal harmony. Like that, you can relate with some kind of thing, some universal principle that is connected to the idea of Ishvara. It is very, very different from, doing something for the sake of pleasing God. Because God created me, He is up in heaven and He is constantly in need for obedience. So everybody has to obey Him, otherwise He'll throw you in hell. This is not that. This is extremely different. It's completely different. It's not for personal reward, but rather as a expression of love, as an expression of my dedication to universal peace and harmony. We can say like that. My dedication to dharma, my dedication to righteousness, as an expression of my appreciation of the righteousness, as an expression of my appreciation of virtue. We could present it like that. Yeah. So we are used to certain Ishvara Priti means all Indians will understand, but when we come in a Western context, it goes in a different angle. So I will have to explain that. Maybe the same point when it comes in some other context, I will discuss it in more elaborate. Okay. So we'll finish. Om Tat Sat.